guys, Raphael here, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Did you say podcast? Dudes, dudettes, you're listening to a podcast on the Geek-Cast Radio Network.
Welcome to The Pullbags, Back Issue Classics. Join us as we talk about comics from yesteryear, from DC, Marvel, and more. So open your ears to hear our discussion of the older continuities, as the Back Issue Classics are also what's in The Pullbag.
What's going on, Donnie?
It's a Crank Sweet 16 birthday party.
How am I supposed to know?
Hello and welcome to The Pullbag. This is yet again another Back Issue Classics, and the last couple of times on Back Issue Classics, we've been kind of going back and forth between two of IDW's best series. The brand new Gem and the Holograms comic, and of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am, of course, TF2 and Mike. Joining me is Joe Reed.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
So this episode of The Pullbag, now last episode, in episode 109, my mom had just passed away. I had recorded a little clip at the beginning of that saying I wasn't sure when the next episode was going to be of the podcast at all, because at the time I recorded that, wasn't too sure of my living situation. That's kind of changed. So living situation's kind of evened out. It's no longer being in the red and having to move and live in Joe's new basement. So we've got this going on. We've got Gem and the Holograms. We've got Turtles going on in the Back Issue Classics. And, I have no idea where I was going with this. This episode will actually be out June 17th. Of 2015, which I believe is the week right after Geek-Stuff Garage Sale.
I think
correct?
so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right around BotCon. I managed to go to that, too. We'll be going to that. I will have gone to that by the time you listen to this podcast. And I'll have looked at Frank Welker from a distance, because I'm not paying $500 for his autograph.
Yeah, that's a topic for a completely different... That's a soapbox for a completely different podcast. But yeah, go check out Geek-Stuff Garage Sale on Facebook. You can actually check out now, I'll have to get with Mike on the actual link, but you can check out Geek-Stuff GarageCast, the Geek-Stuff Garage Sale podcast.
Both of them are .coms now. You can actually links to the Facebook page because, well, I'm low budget. The podcast is slightly higher budget than me. But yeah, the Geek-Stuff Garage Sale, you can find us there. We're Midwest Michigan, kind of like Art called it a farmer's market that only sells nerdy geek action figure movie stuff. And he's like, that's really accurate. That's more accurate than flea market. But totally free. Come check us out. Look at the pictures on Facebook. See what you missed. We'll do it again at the end of the summer, too.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep, run 2 of those a year, and maybe even 3 if they start letting us do the indoor one for Christmas. So,
yeah, but you guys have also launched Geek-Stuff GarageCast. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I am the fourth wheel on the new podcast thing. We kind of like. It embodies the spirit of the Geek Sale in that we just kind of talk about anything, and each show's got a topic, and that's posted on the website. And I think we just finished recording our second episode, so check that out. And by the time, I think on the 17th, we'll have a third and maybe even a fourth, maybe. But check it out. Go look there. GeekStuffGarageCast.com.
All right, folks, so it is time to dive back into TMNT, and a lot has happened since the end of Attack on Technodrome. A lot of people's predictions, at least a lot of people that predicted that what happened actually happened, did happen. Mm-hmm. That makes any damn sense, but I remember a lot of people, because I fully believe that Donatello is not dead. Unless Bobby Curnow, Tom Waltz, or Kevin Eastman actually sit there and leave a voicemail on my phone number saying, yes, Donnie is dead, I do not believe that Donatello is dead.
No, I believed it for all of a day, kind of just and not really wanting to think about the comic book fact of he's comic book dead. I lived in the fact that they killed one of my characters, one of my childhood characters, And that was enjoyable. It was interesting to have those kind of feelings go on, but once you sleep on it and wake up, like, no. He's just comic book dead. A, B, and C can happen and he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But that was,
Yeah.
we couldn't have asked for less. How do you say that? I think that's right.
Yeah, something like that. See, a lot of people predicted, and my good buddies or syndicated partners for GCRN, Rob and Josh over at Turtle Flakes, they said, one of them said something about, and I think even you said this, and I've heard other people say this, but I think I heard it from them first. Oh, what if they just take his consciousness and put it into Metalhead? And I'm like, ugh. And when I first heard that, I'm like, oh God,
Mm-hmm.
that's the worst idea ever. Just give him CPR and pound on his chest to make him be alive.
Mm-hmm.
But they've actually done that. They've, in the process, since issue 44, issue 45 and 46, which we'll be getting into here in a moment, essentially the plot line is that Donatello is now in Metalhead. His consciousness is now in Metalhead.
The biggest issue that I have with this is something similar to this happened in the Image series that was Volume 3, but Peter Laird later said, no, we're not going to count it. And it was just weird. It seemed like a ham-fisted attempt to make the Turtles different. And then after lambasting that idea, he went and put Donatello back in a robot suit in Volume 4, legit, in continuity. It's still actually Donatello. He's just shrunk, but is piloting a large turtle-shaped robot a la the Utroms made for him. And I'm just kind of like, you don't have to do that to the Turtles. We're not so bored of them that we need them to look different. And I think there's, of course, because it's IDW, there's more than that to this.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just a way to make him different. This is, story-wise, what they had to do.
Story-wise, it was the only way they could save his life.
And the only way that they could kill him and show that there are stakes. The Turtles can lose. Watch. And, yeah, they lost big.
And if you think about it, and I pointed this out again to my buddies Josh and Rob over at Turtle Flakes when I emailed them about, because they did a little mini-sode when the news, before anyone really read issue 44, when Donatello is killed by Rocksteady or Bebop or whichever one actually did it, they put out this little thing as soon as the news came out, and all the news sites were like, oh my God, IDW killed one of the Turtles, and they put this news thing out, and they put all these speculations out there, and I emailed them, and I'm like, look, if you look at the 4-year history of this comic series, and I have, and we have, every turtle, every character, every major character has been put in traumatic points in the series. At first it was, the series started out, Raph was homeless. Raph was on his own. Raph wasn't a part of the team at all. They were looking for him, and then the whole City Fall thing with Leo.
Yeah.
And now we've got Donnie. And really the only one out of the 4 brothers that hasn't really been affected by a major thing is Mikey. Mikey has always, this is the same thing I'll say about the Justice League in general. When the Justice League has, either it's Barry Allen or Wally West, whoever you choose to put in the Flash suit, when it has the Flash is the heart of the team. Mikey is the heart of the team. And yeah, sure, there was that little drama thing where, his pizza buddy said, oh no, don't come around anymore, blah, 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 and all this and all that. And Mikey had a little emotional thing in the Turtles in Time when he, met his mom and all this and all that. But if you think about it, Mikey really they haven't really done anything to Mikey.
Well, I think he's going to be next.
Yeah, well, obviously. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, especially with some of the stuff he says in this issue. So getting right into it, issue 45, the main cover is Casey, the Purple Dragons, Alopex and Angel, Nobody, Harold, April and Fugitoid, Casey and Hunter facing off. You got Metalhead in there, and you actually got, and I'm surprised they put this in. Oh no, that's a foot. I thought it was a mouser. But that's cover A. What do you think of cover A here, the regular cover?
I like Santaluco's art. I especially like it when he takes his time and does a beautiful cover like this.
Yep. I like the different segments in it. Like, the main body of it is Casey versus Hun and the Purple Dragons, but like all these side things in red are really, really cool. The B cover is Eastman and Casey watching over a second time around.
I like the new version of Casey that Kevin Eastman's been drawing. He's not like the 80s punk guy that he usually draws, and it looks good with the shorter hair and that outfit.
Yep. All right, so for those that don't know or haven't been reading this series, the story so far: the Technodrome has been shut down and Krang imprisoned in Dimension X, but not without a cost. Shredder has been injured and presumed dead by the Foot Clan, though he was saved by Baxter Stockman. Meanwhile, the Turtles return home to find Donatello's lifeless body, the victim of a brutal attack by Bebop and Rocksteady. And we open up with a beautiful first page of Donnie's dream sequence.
And I love the way that they handle these dream sequences. They've done similar things before. It's drawn in a unique way. There's no black ink. It's not the drawings haven't been inked, but they're fully colored. I almost No. I was going to say that maybe Rhonda Pattinson colored it, but then they turned off the ink line layer. No. There's too much rendering happening with pencils underneath it, but it really gives it that different look. And because those hard blacks aren't there, it has that kind of foggy, distant look to it.
Mm-hmm.
So big fan of that.
I love how she's color coded this. Obviously,
yeah, on the purple.
It's Donatello, and the purple and the green. And
that just hit me. Like, I thank you for saying that. Like, we know which turtle it is because of the background.
Yeah, And at the bottom of the page, we get "Please stay a while and visit with me, my son," and we see Tang Shen.
Purple kimono.
Yeah, it's all green and purple in this for the most part until Splinter comes later. So the Fugitoid returns. Essentially, Krang was put into Dimension X successfully. He comes home, finds Splinter kneeling beside, I should say, not over, but beside Donatello's body. Everybody's surrounded him, and he's like, "What has happened here? The bastards killed him." Something like this. This is the most emotional thing that has happened in 4 years. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Leo thing was emotional. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking away from any of the Leo or the Raph storylines at all. But this is the most heart-wrenching thing that they have done in 4 years. And it's going to be really interesting to see how each of the Turtles deals with this. And the first thing I flash to is that friggin' April O'Neil voiceover in the movie. Donatello's found someone to latch on to. When Raph was injured, you know what I mean? It's like they're doing that kind of here, and it's going to be really interesting to see how all four of the Turtles, or three, I should say, the three brothers react to it. And I mean, obviously, Raph is Raph, and he's going to react in anger. But what do you think of the emotional context here?
I know what happens in this issue and the next issue. I don't think they left him dead for long enough to really get to see that. Because, Fugitoid says, "Quick, get him to the lab and starts his thing. And very soon he's back. And so we're seeing the Turtles deal with the fact that their brother is now a robot, but we're not seeing them deal with the loss long enough.
Yeah.
I'd like to have seen that go for 2 or 3 issues. Really see Raph get in trouble because he flies off the handle. Really see Leo struggle to keep it together, and then Michelangelo's just a bawling mess in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I didn't want Donnie to become a victim of, a victim of the Waynes continuity or even Uncle Ben. Like, I didn't want Donnie to become, the ghost of himself. I just did. This is why I said I wish it, instead of, I appreciate all the things with, his mother that we're going to see in this issue and the next one and all. I appreciate all that, but I kind of wish somebody would have just beat on his chest or something to get his heart back up, or, I know they can't take him to a hospital, but maybe go steal an EEG machine or something. Because having Donatello of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles be comic book dead and have it be like a long time comic book death, it just takes away from the team way too much.
Well, I think that's the point that would have been the point of it, is to let them lose it. But, it's we're sitting here nitpicking. It's already written, and it's still the IDW team that we love so much. They're going to do it right. They do it right, and we do see the Turtles struggle in their own ways. Even Donatello. Oh my God, I'm a robot now. I don't know how I'm... So we'll get to that. We'll get to that, listeners.
Yep. Yeah, it's just... I don't know. And I love part of the story here where we get to Splinter and, he says, Donatello, still alive? And we see him meditating, and I actually screen capped this and put this on Facebook. I didn't realize it was a fuller image when the panel came up, so I only took a screen cap and I only put it on the one of the small, but it actually pulls out, and it is the full panel of him sitting there, and he's got all, the whole universe behind him, and he's got this like electro-looking stuff on, like electricity on the floor, and he's got these psychedelic rainbows. It's like Splinter.
When did you turn into an 80s album cover?
Yeah. Oh God, that would be so. Oh man, that would be so awesome. But yes, so he ends up in the purple and green place. And what do you think of where he says, "I know you still live"? What do you think of his design there?
Splinter's a hard person to draw. Hard thing. Nobody looks at pictures of rats when they draw him. I've learned that. Except maybe Santaluco. I think he's looking at mice because he has the round ears, which don't look right because that's never the way Splinter's been drawn. But that's what rat ears look like. So, hey, he's got round ears.
Yeah. So we see him in this maze. Kind of reminds me of that old episode of Batman the Animated Series, Maze of the Minotaur.
Oh, that was a good episode.
And we see the little Garden of Eden at the center and the light and all that. We then cut to Bebop, Rocksteady, and the Foot Clan. And the Foot Clan's not doing so well, folks. Shredder is supposedly dead, according to them. And, Koya says, oh, well, we left him, and, we're so ashamed. And...
You should be.
Yeah.
They look ashamed. That's impressive. That kind of gives them a little bit of character that we haven't seen them, that there's actually regret.
Yeah,
they'll get one-shots someday, I'm sure, both of them.
Yeah, Koya and Bludgeon. When they first appeared in Northampton, I wasn't too big on them. I mean, Koya, she's got a nice design, but I don't know. Bludgeon just seems kind of useless.
They need to flesh them out, and they haven't gotten them. They haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
Which tells me if they're not ready to tell us who they are, what's going on, what their motivations are, I think it was too early to introduce them.
Yeah. Who else do we need one-shots on? If they ever do one-shots.
Oh, they have all the new Mutanimals could get one.
That's true. That's true. Karai goes on this whole tyrant and tirade and whatever else, and she says, my grandfather may be gone, but know this, the Foot Clan is not.
I honestly think that the Foot Clan is probably in better hands with her. I don't think she's... Now, she's crazy, she's insane, she's violent, but I don't think she's as megalomaniacal as her grandpa, as her pretend grandpa Shredder is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep connecting it back to Volume 4 and Mirage Run anyway, at least. Karai is not a bad guy in that series. She is just she's runs the Japanese wing of the Foot Clan, comes to the United States to pick up after Shredder's mess, and she kind of like meets the Turtles, and yeah, there's an uneasy thing because the Turtles are like, Foot Clan, bad, we're gonna kill you all, and she's like, no, we're not exactly. I'm sorry for Shredder. He was not supposed to do what he did with the vengeance thing, and your master, we're sorry, but so there's this weird uneasy alliance between the two of them, and she's actually kind of a good guy. And I think they could turn her that direction pretty easily. She still needs to be tough and as at large and in charge as she acts in this, just because of her previous role as being the second. But I don't think she's going to be as power hungry as her grandpa was.
What I'm wondering after I've read the 46, 45, and 46 is how long it's going to take Shredder to come back from where he is, and we'll get there. We'll get to
I'm
all
excited
that.
to talk about that.
Yeah. So we get to the local street corner, and the Purple Dragons are back.
I'm so happy to see Purple Dragons around.
And we get a panel where Jason I'm sorry. The panel where it basically looks like a scene from the old cartoon series where it's got that moonlight or the street light, and the way that it's done, the way the shadows are done in this, it reminds me of that, and it reminds me of friggin' Jason Voorhees in the hockey mask. I'm sorry, Casey. I know you're no Jason, but that's what it kind of reminds me of. So Casey comes in kicking ass, taking names. What I'm loving about this issue and the upcoming issues that we're going to talk about is how well they are balancing multiple storylines in one. Normally, in the past, I have complained about the jumps. Like, we went from the whole Karai thing to the Purple Dragons thing. Normally, sometimes when I would read them in trade, I would complain about the jump cut there, but here it works. The creative team on this book is firing on all cylinders.
And I like seeing Casey get some love. He's found his role as the superhero, keeping the streets clean, keeping his neighborhood clean.
I'm just so glad they have not, and I hope they never put him on roller skates. Don't get me wrong. I love the Casey and the Dick cartoon series, but thank God they don't put this guy on skates in this book.
I think it's too serious for that.
Yeah, true. So, Casey, saves the day and helps the owner get, everything back in the, all that stuff. And, as Casey waves and is walking away, he says, "Oh, and be careful, there was another one with them. A really big, scary-looking guy." Big, scary-looking guy? Oh, hell no.
Hun entering second time around antique store.
Yep. We go back to Tang Shen and Donatello. It's always been interesting to me to see how each of the turtles interacts with her. Because obviously they haven't seen, she's gone. She's technically dead. I mean, technically. And this is, a spirit world. But it's, when we were in Turtles in Time and in the past, and Mikey was interacting with her, I really enjoyed that. When I don't remember, had Raph interacted with her? I know Leo did a little bit, but
not separately, no.
Yeah, maybe that's something that'll come up eventually. But I just love the way that she, as their mother, is really still guiding them.
And that's something that really hasn't happened in any previous continuity. They've never addressed their mother, and it's so nice to see her being a character. And I almost wish they could bring her back, but this is how it needs to be done in these small doses like this. So yeah, Don't change that just because I want the turtles to have a mommy.
Yeah. So we have that scene with beautiful art. Once again, like this whole flashback thing. And normally I'm not a fan of having the turtles without wearing their masks, because it's always looked kind of weird to me. Like if you look at Donnie's face when he says, "Yes, Varia, I've never seen anything like it. I know I should be freaking out right now." I mean, this doesn't seem logical at all. But it's normally I'm not a fan of them being maskless, but it really works here.
And I think it works in this scene especially because the mom, Tengshen, is a human, but these turtles, well, they're weird, kind of deformed man turtles. And without having that mask, it really drives home their mutant side. They don't look as cute, and so we get to see this weird thing relating equally with his mom, and his mom doesn't seem to be bothered by how kind of weird and lumpy he is. And that I think is also deliberate in how it's put together.
Yeah. We get back to Honeycutt and trying to transfer Donnie's consciousness, and that's all interesting. I love, we haven't gotten much in the way of Harold's characterization. I mean, we know his character, but we don't, like Donnie said, I think Donnie says later at some point, oh, Harold, puts on puts on his own mask, but deep down he really does care. And it kind of does show when in the panel where he says, "Please be right." We get to Alopex, Raph, Leo, Mikey, and I'm just gonna say Angel. I when she doesn't have the mask on, it's just weird for me to say nobody. So they're all talking and hoping that Donnie's gonna come out of this, and here's where Raph starts going off the handle. And his wife, Alopex, I'm sorry. Can we please just say that they're in some sort of relationship, because that they really are.
Yeah, they're gonna be. It'll be official soon.
Yeah, let's hope. And this is where Mikey loses his cool. And we've never seen Mikey lose his cool.
When he does, it's serious, and you need to stop acting like a weird person, because if Mikey thinks you're behaving in an inappropriate way, you probably are.
What is so cool about this scene because Raph has gone on and on and on about how they screwed up, and how Father was right, we should have taken care of Shredder, and blah blah blah. And this is where we see it off panel, and then it brings in Mikey's whole thing about just shut up, we saved the world, Donnie'd be happy, he was awake, happy, we stopped the Technodrome just like he wanted, etc., etc., etc. And he says, you're only making it worse. And then he gets to this panel with all 5 characters here, and each of the looks on their faces. I mean, well, obviously we can't really see Leo's look since he's looking at them like we would be. And it just, between Angel, Mikey, Raph, and Alopex, it's like they're all just defeated.
Well, there's the interesting panel after Mike says there's nothing we could have done better. You're making it worse. There's a panel of Raph looking like, yeah, Mikey, you're right, I am. But then that next panel, now he's angry again and gonna do his Raph thing and leave.
Yeah. And, Leo actually says, Raph's right. We may have stopped crying, but we have no clue what's up with Shredder. And this is where we get to Shredder. So, what are you thinking so far to this point with the storylines here in this issue?
It's a jumble of how they're all reacting, and we don't know that Donnie is safe yet. They don't know that Donnie is safe yet. So we're kind of just watching them react as things are coming in. It hasn't settled enough yet to really let them, I don't know, show how they're gonna end up ultimately reacting to the death.
So we get to Shredder, and he's laying in bed, resting. This is something that would have never
Yeah.
thought I would see Shredder doing. Obviously, I mean, I know he needs to rest. He nearly died. Thank God he doesn't have his Snuggie with him.
Mm-hmm.
And do you notice what's over to the right on the nightstand?
Oh yeah.
all his hardware. I guess all that hardware is for making coleslaw. And you know, Baxter says, "Home sweet home, I'll drink to that." And you know, Shredder attacks him. They have an argument here. You know, Baxter's basically playing him, trying to get him to come around to his side. And I think this is going to be... I think what's interesting about the whole series at this point is when we got to... Way back when we got to issue 37, and we thought that it was just going to be, oh, Shredder and Krang team up. Obviously it wasn't. Issue 37 was essentially an all-villains issue where Shredder and Krang almost fought to the death for the first time. You know,
the only logical way that could have happened with the way that IDW's built them.
True. And here now we have, you know, that old kind of, not really a standby, but that old staple of Baxter and Shredder teaming up. You know, we saw it in the old cartoon series. We're going to see it in probably the next new Turtles movie at some point. It's going to be really interesting. And what it's interesting here to see, like, we're just at the beginnings of this new team up, and Baxter reveals to him his Flyborgs. And Shredder sees that he really, at this point in his weakened state, doesn't have a whole lot of choice but to basically just go along with Baxter. For now.
I don't know why he doesn't just, okay, so long, Baxter, I'm headed to the Foot headquarters because they think I'm dead. I don't know why is he staying here? I'm sure there's a reason.
Yeah, it's some sort of partnership with the two of them. We get back to Splinter, Tang Shen, and Donnie. And as we go through, we see Splinter in the bushes. I love this panel where the narration at the top says, "But underneath it all, invisible to our eyes, are the mighty roots that are the true foundation for the beauty above." And he says, "I will not give up." I love how, you know, we always complain about how Splinter is really not drawn as a rat. Well, while he's camouflaging himself in this tree or bush or whatever it is,
he looks like a Berenstain Bear.
Oh God, yeah. You know, and his mother Donnie's mom goes on to talk about how it's a mysterious balancing act above and below, and the seen, the unseen, just like the dark and the light. One does not exist without the other. And this is where this is interesting to me. She leaves him with these words, and then Splinter himself is off panel, and he says, Donatello, she is gone, and Splinter is there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember I don't think Splinter and her have ever been on the spiritual plane at the same time, correct?
I don't think so. The only time that it might have happened was when the Rat King was jerking with his head. But I don't even think that happened then.
I'll have to ask Bobby. You know, so Splinter comes in. "Yes, my son, I am here. It's time to return home." You know, so they return home. Essentially, Splinter brings Donnie out of his, I'm just going to call it coma. I mean, that's really, you know, because we get, I think it's working, and we see the red targeting thing and whatever for Metalhead, and Donnie says he feels weird, and we get the to be continued for the fact that his consciousness is now in Metalhead.
You know, and it took me till the next issue to make the connection that, you know, Fugitoid just absolutely immediately knew what to do to save him. Like, oh wait, it's because he put himself in a robot body at a point, so he would know exactly how to do a Donatello and get it to work perfectly.
Yep.
So that made more sense after I realized that. Okay, yeah, that's right. Alien guy who's already put himself into a computer.
Yep, absolutely. Overall, issue 45 was really interesting. It really melded all of the storylines that have been going on. The only thing it didn't really pick up on, and it will pick up on in issue 46 here, where's April in 45? She's like nowhere.
Yeah, where was she?
She wasn't in 45 at all. It was Casey and Hun, Angel, Alopex, Raph, Leo and Mikey, Splinter, Donatello and Tang Shen, Shredder and Baxter, and Karai and the Foot Clan.
She's on the cover, but I'm trying to remember what she's doing right now in the book. Where was she during Attack on Technodrome?
Oh, that's a good question. I honestly don't remember. It's been so long since we recorded that episode.
I think they forgot about her. Maybe she's tailing that foot professor guy at the college.
Yeah, that's what happens in 46. We're going to get into that here in a second. But overall, when you first read, I mean, I know, you've said this many times, you go to the comic store, you buy the book, and you sit in your car and read it. But what was your, going back through it, what is your overall reaction to 45?
I think they had to pack too much in this issue, and we didn't get to linger with any of those moments. Or time is moving too quickly for the Turtles for them to really adequately cover it in 24 pages of a book. So this one left me hungry for now needing to read that second one. I think if you save 45 and 46 and read them at the same time, you'll be much more satisfied. They're essentially kind of not I don't want to say the same issue, but it covers as much as you need to know, and it doesn't leave questions.
Absolutely. So issue 46, the main cover is Baxter, his Flyborgs, and the Mousers on top with is that Raph or Mikey in the middle on the left?
That looks more like Donnie.
Could be. You got one of the turtles, you got Koya, Bludgeon, and Hun in the middle, and then you get Karai and the Foot at the bottom. What do you think of this main cover?
Get more Santaluco wonderfulness. Both covers have been fairly vague, and actually, you know what? I think they were vague on purpose so that they didn't blow the death of Donatello in solicits. That's probably why these are kind of not telling you what's going on inside the book in any way.
That and the whole next storyline before 50 is the Stockman Swarm, and that's kind of hinted here at the top. I mean, I like the main cover. I think it's really cool. The Kevin Eastman cover is Angel, Casey, and Alopex. Angel doesn't look like she's in her nobody armor. She looks like she's in some sort of battle suit or some sort of battle gear, but she doesn't look like. I could be wrong.
I bet Eastman's probably drawn it in the old school nobody armor that was just kind of a black suit.
Yeah.
She wasn't quite an exoskeleton.
Yeah. So we start this one out with with Donatello going over all the medical needs his body is going to need. I can't even do this beat by beat. I just can't. It's just too funny.
Well, they're smart enough to mention the catheter. Like, oh, poor Donnie, yeah. I don't want to know where that cord's going.
I ought to go online and find one of those daytime commercials about catheters, but I'm not going to. You know the ones I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. We deliver clean ones to your door.
Yeah. So we get Angel, Leo, Mikey, Splinter, and Metal Donnie surrounding... Wait, where's Raph?
Raph checked out. He got pissed and left.
Oh, that's right. And, Donnie's just saying, about, being able to take care of the body while his mind's in Metalhead, and Splinter is praising him. Mikey's trying to be funny, and it just doesn't work. He says, "We'll even spit shine our mitts if that's what it takes. No spit, please, Mike. Soap and hot water are fine." And all is I don't think this was Tom or Kevin or Bobby's intention, but the spit shine thing, all as I can think of is friggin' Space Jam. Michael Jordan goes into the Looney Tunes gym. "This place is a mess." And Daffy's like, "Are you kidding me? It's a little spit shine. This place will be looking like new." And they actually start spitting all over the gym. And then Taz comes in with a broom and a mop and just does his Tasmanian devil thing. And it turns out to be an immaculate thing. It's weird. I agree with Donnie. He, Leo asks him, "Yeah, Don, you sure you're okay?" And Donnie says, "Honestly, Leo, no, I'm not. No matter how it seems, all of this is just really freaking me out. And I'm really kind of freaked out about this because I don't know if they are eventually going to put him back in his body."
I'm sure they will.
Mm-hmm.
It might be after 50, but they will.
Yeah. So, Splinter goes on and says, "Indeed, the turmoil your brother must be experiencing, it's unfathomable. I wish nothing more than to give him comfort, but how?" And, he goes on, "He's definitely not the only one freaking out right now." And we go on a date with Raph and Alopex. And, I'm glad she's... I wasn't sure, with Koya and Bludgeon, I knew I didn't really care for them right away because they weren't really explained to us. But since Alopex and her whole storyline has already been her whole storyline of where she came, her whole origin has been already been fleshed out, I'm really loving Alopex, especially because essentially she is, she is essentially Raph's Tang Shen. I mean, you look at Raph and Splinter. They were at one point both very similar. Because Splinter used to have all that anger that Raph has now. And I wish... Coming up, we're going to be getting the next miniseries after Mutanimals called Casey and April. And they're going to focus on Casey and April in that. And it's going to be Casey and April, I think, versus the Rat King.
Yeah, that's right. I've heard that.
Yeah. I honestly wish, and I don't think they'll ever do this, but I honestly wish at some point before the IDW series ends, not that I want it to end, but at some point before its lifespan is up, I want Raph and Alopex to have their own little miniseries. Find some adventure to put the two of them in. Because,
yeah.
I know this is going to sound cheesy as hell, and it's going to sound very 90s when I say this, but at this point, they could have their own Harlequin romance novel series.
Well, I think she is becoming Ninjara from the Archie series, and they don't have rights to that character. They belong to Chris Allen and the other guy. They own them. But I think there was a small series with just Raph and Ninjara called Moon Eyes through the Archie series, and it would not surprise me if we do see them become a couple. She becomes like the fifth Ninja Turtle, and they go on adventures together, and eventually they have their story arc, their mini series. So I think it'll come. We'll get to really see her fleshed out and what she becomes.
Yeah, it's gonna be really awesome. And the coolest thing about this scene is once once Mikey and Leo show up, as they're all leaving, because, Raph, Leo, and Mikey are leaving, Raph turns around and says, "Thanks, Alopex." And she says, "What are friends for, right?" "Yeah." "Friends, huh?"
Angel says, yeah.
Angel. What? Oh, nothing, friend. And see, art like this is why I want so many things out of this series. I want so many other, like, yeah, I want a Raph and Alopex story, but I also want
A nobody in Alopex story.
yeah, I want them on the town fighting crime, kicking ass.
Uh-huh.
Because look at this panel; the two of them look amazing.
That is well drawn. Alopex's pose makes me uncomfortable because nobody jumps like that and it heads forward. But that's okay. That's okay because it looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little strange, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, that's a convention print. That's what he that's what Santaluco prints and sits on his table.
Yeah. So was it the beginning of this issue or was it the end of last issue?
It was in last issue with
It was in last issue. Oh, hell no. So we find that Hun is at the second time around shop harassing Mr. and Mrs. O'Neill, and Casey barges in. Are you still not a fan of the Hun character?
not a fan of Hun being Casey's dad, but I can't legitimately gripe about that because it's been done well and that it makes interesting dynamic. It's not the direction that I would have gone with Hun, but it's not a problem for me.
All right. And this whole scene, they're essentially reenacting history here. With Hun, having the bottle of booze and, talking about, and, Shredder got ended by them, Green Freaks you all been chummy with lately too, and everything else. And he's like, oh, we can go back to old times. There's no more bounty on my head. There's, the Jones boys back together again. And I understand that Hun is a drunk. And I understand that alcoholism is a very horrible disease in a lot of people. Or a lot of people that contract it. But it's one of those things where it just, Hun wants it to go back to the way it was. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if he wants it to go back to the way it was where he was just beating Casey every single night. Or if he just wants it to go back to actually having his son by his side. Or maybe that's what it is, but I'm really glad Casey is not falling for any of this crap.
There's no chance he is. He's been beat up too many times.
Mm. And, so, April's father, what is his first name? Is it John? I think. I could be wrong. Anyway, Mr. O'Neill.
Yeah, he's wielding a staple gun. He looked at that like, wait a minute, I know what that is. Patoom, patoom, puts two in his chest like, I don't feel that, buddy.
Yeah. And off panel we get, well, look at that, would ya? Looks like showing up in the nick of time has become a thing for us Alopex. Get lost, Arnie.
That is a beautiful illustration of Alopex. That is awesome.
This needs to be a convention print. That needs to be a convention print. Because, again, how far all of these characters have come in 4 years of publishing this book is just so amazing. Mm-hmm. So, Hun leaves, dejected as always.
The name's Hun, girl. More like Lush.
Yeah. And he basically breaks the bottle and walks away. And Mr. and Mrs. O'Neill get to meet Angel and Alopex.
Have they met the Turtles yet?
Yes, they have, I think. Yes, they did. When they left Northampton. They had to have.
I'm not sure that they did.
I could have sworn they did.
Well, I have all the books here, but I don't feel like making all the noise to get to them.
I'm pretty sure they did. Again, it's something I can ask Bobby and find out, and we can correct it next time. But I think it's really cool how they're finally introducing all the characters to the O'Neills. Because they got to bring them into this somehow. We get back to this, and Karai is now talking about, the Foot Clan and everything else, and she's talking to Bebop and Rocksteady and Bludgeon and Koya, and I gotta say, the Foot Clan members that have the red masks or the red helmets or whatever the hell, I wish they'd change that, because it makes me think, oh hey, look, it's the Red Hood gang. When the fuck is Batman gonna show up? It's like, like, I don't mind the guys that are in the masks with the teeth and whatever else, but guys in the red hoods.
It wouldn't hurt to go and explain the rank, so we know why they're wearing those different uniforms. Like, what's their role? What are their specialties? That kind of.
Yeah. So Karai is essentially saying the same thing she said last time. Our master is dead, but our clan lives on. They all yell Foot Clan. We get some more characterization with Donnie and Fugitoid, with, Donnie saying that, all this data, it's flowing so rapidly, yet I'm able to keep up. I just don't understand how that's possible. And, I love this characterization between... And it's really weird to see the two robots interact with each other. Like, I'm used to watching giant robots and Transformers and in the comics with them and all that stuff. But like Metalhead and Fugitoid, it's really weird to see.
It's weird because they're humans in robot form, and they can both talk about what that's like, and that's fun to see. Like, wow, I don't have to sleep, I don't have to eat. You eat? I get fake hungry, but I don't need it. And data in my brain, and that's just, it's a neat perspective to get to hear a writer put characters in that spot.
And this is the scene where, Harold comes in and talks about, phantom pain sensation, where he says it happens to a lot of amputees, your hunger and tiredness are just your biological clock ticking at you, and he has a really nice, little moment with Donnie and fixing the arm that got shot off or destroyed in the last issue. And then as he walks away, Future's like, is your friend always so disgruntled? Nah, don't let Harold fool you, Professor. He puts on a grumpy mask, but underneath it all, he's really a good guy. And it's been a long time since we've seen Woody. We got Mikey and Woody. I love this. Like, this guy Woody is essentially a complete stranger to all of these people. I mean, yeah, Mikey knows him, and he gives Mikey essentially free pizza, and that's awesome. But it's like, what I like about this, it's not that I don't dislike. I don't dislike anything with Woody. It's just, it's so weird that they have a character in the book that has really nothing to do, like, he's a fresh set of eyes and ears for this team. Specifically Mikey, obviously, because Mikey is sitting here venting to him and explaining to him and talking with him, and he really does give Mikey some really good advice. And when I first read this issue, it was like, when did this come out?
Last week?
No, it wasn't last week. It was,
I mean, not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday before.
Maybe. Maybe. When did this... I'm sorry, listeners. When did this come out? This came out May 27th. So this came out a week... Yeah, it came out a week after my mom passed away. And when I read the next line that's about to happen between Mikey and Woody, at the time, I was like, wow, that is so me right now. And I'm not talking about, the Mikester like a boss. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about where Woody says, Mikey says, "Thanks, man, I needed that, and this. Now I got some mutanimals to find." And Woody's like, "No worries, bro. Just remember, tough as you ninja dudes are, it's okay to ask for help from your friends sometimes." And that just kind of really hit me because, some people that don't know, I'm going through a hard time in my personal life. Obviously, my mom passed away, and all the financial burdens that brings and whatever else. So now this is a cut that I will complain about. It didn't really hit me at first because of that line, the narration line where Woody is ending this conversation. But we go to the New York Tech staff parking lot, and we see the professor dude that we saw.
It took me a while to figure out who that was.
Whenever Cripes, Miller, what have you gotten yourself into? And we flash back to early. It just says earlier. It doesn't say a day ago. It doesn't say how long earlier it was. But we see April talking with Professor Miller. At least we know where April's been, I guess.
That answers that.
Yeah, I guess. And they're talking about these giant scrolls and everything else. And by the end of this conversation, April essentially takes the scroll from him and goes off on her own. And he, goes, so that's the end of the kind of earlier flashback. We go to the present, and he says, "Stay safe," she says. Yeah, right. And there's a Red Hood gang member sitting in his back seat.
And I don't know why they killed him. I don't know what they achieved by doing that.
I don't know either.
Maybe it's keeping the Foot Clan secret. Maybe that's Karai's new prerogative. I don't know.
Potentially.
Because now they have no way to ask him, where the book is, if there are other prints of it, if that, the Foot Clan book that they were after for a time. And
I'm just now realizing, seeing a more developed version of this Foot Clan character. He's a Red Hood gang with a Freddy Krueger claw.
Yeah, they've been around with those claws for a while. That seems like it was something I saw in the Mirage run, if not earlier in this run. They're all blending together now.
So we then go to Baxter and Shredder.
Really glad to see TCRI show up.
Yes. TCRI. I remember the big stink back in, was it 91? Mm-hmm. When in the second movie it was TGRI. Yeah. See, for me, that's all I knew at that time as an 11-year-old, and that's really what I wanted to see happen. But obviously, I know that's not the proper term. But hey, at least it's here. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think they changed it in the movie because they weren't going the Utram direction for it to be a cosmic research institute. It was global, genetics. So and humans. Although in my imagination, Professor Perry was an Utram and it was global or was interplanetary. But having the original TCRI back is nice. Yeah. I'm sad to see that it's not connected to benevolent Utrams, but who knows? Maybe that'll come.
Well, that's what that's the thing. They kind of switched all this around. If you look at, if you look at the way that this whole series has unfolded, the Utrams and all their stuff happened on the Technodrome. The Mousers and Baxter and the Flyborgs and Shredder and all that apparently are going to be happening at TCRI. They basically reversed the cartoon series. Where, originally it was Baxter and the Mouser. In the cartoon series specifically, in the original 87.
Yeah, Shredder was paired up with Baxter first.
Right. And, well, he was paired up with Krang too, but, you had the Mousers and all that coming out of the Technodrome. I don't
think they came out of the Technodrome. They had a building. It was the building that flooded and Michelangelo surfed and said Cowabunga for the first time.
Yeah, but
Did they?
no, it was the old mansion, but
Yeah, that's right.
they were still working out of the Technodrome
Okay.
because I remember the Mousers coming out of the anyway.
Okay, I believe you.
Because I remember this giant shot of the Technodrome's foot or mouth or whatever the hell, the door opening, and they released the Mousers into the sewers to go after the sewer den. Sorry.
You're right. It's good because all these different continuities get muddled up in my head.
So at TCRI, we see this giant production line making Mousers and making Flyborgs. What do you think of the whole Mouser Flyborg / upcoming main storyline for the Stockman Swarm?
I really just want to see what Shredder's getting out of this and why he's playing back and why he thinks he's dependent on Stockman. I mean, there's money here, but I don't know. I think Shredder's stronger on his own, and he knows that he can't trust Baxter. He just knows this isn't going to end. He has to know, but that's the fun part of wanting to read next month's issue already. Is how does this turn out? How does this happen?
Yep. So we have the final scene here is we're back at April's parents' house with them, Casey, Alopex, and Angel. And, her mom says, oh, it's been an eventful night. And, Angel makes the comment to Casey that, you got yourself into something really good here. And he's like, don't I know it? He says, speaking of April, I need to give her a call to see how things went at her school tonight and see if she knows about the Donnie and the others. Oh, man. What are they going to do in 4? April doesn't know yet. April wasn't at the reveal of Donnie dying, was she? I don't remember. God, I got to go back and read 44 again. Damn it. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I'm getting too old for this shit. The issue ends with, yo, losers! What the hell? And the purple dragons are going to teach them all a lesson. So we end on, yo, losers! And what the hell? And it ends with Hun and the Purple Dragons getting ready to take back the neighborhood for the Purple Dragons.
And I'm so excited to see this fight. This is going to be kind of what I wanted to see with Nobody and Alopex, and then Casey getting to do his thing. I wonder how high they're going to raise the stakes with this fight. I mean, are Mr. and Mrs. O'Neill going to be in danger, in legitimate danger out here? Are they going to be able to hold them back? Are they going to have to call the turtles in to stop this? But this is going to be the tense, amazing stuff that I was excited to see.
Absolutely. Overall, issue 46, really digging it. The art, I love the art, but I wish that they would stick with one person's style. Like, the flashbacks, I completely understand getting a different artist because you need someone different on the flashbacks. I get that, but going from the various artists' styles, I'm not too keen on that.
It doesn't upset me because they've managed to stick with it during particular story arcs, that this arc will end and then the new artist will pick up, and they do have their stable now of Santaluco, and they've gone back to Duncan for one of the one of the Turtles in Time issues.
Yeah.
Gosh, all those names I'm losing them now.
Duncan, Ben Bates, Corey Smith, and now Sophie
Campbell. Yep.
Yeah.
So as long as they keep it kind of within that family, I'm cool with that. And every once in a while, I don't mind when they throw somebody in, but they just can't do it like the animated series comic is where it changes halfway through the book. They're trying to get that book out quickly, and so they put two artists on it at once, and one does the beginning, one does the end, and they put it together. But I don't mind. It doesn't bother me so much. I guess I'm just used to it. Well, the other series that I read after every 5 issues, when the new writer takes over for the next arc, the artist changes too. It's okay.
Yep. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, come back really quickly, and kind of give our final thoughts. And kind of also, we're not going to go in depth on the Free Comic Book Day issue because it essentially is a recap for any new readers, but we are going to talk about it just a little bit, so we'll be back. All right, folks, we are back, and it is time for the Prelude to Vengeance. Now, off-air, Joe and I have talked about this. I don't really make a big deal out of it, but I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of people will go to as many comic stores as they can to get as many of the free comic books as they can. Mm-hmm. But for me, if there's a title that I know that I'm going to want to read on Free Comic Book Day, that's what I get excited for. This year, I was excited for the Turtles book that we're going to talk about here in a minute. Transformers Robots in Disguise #0, which is the new comic series based on the new cartoon series that just came out. So that's really what I get excited for. When I asked you on Facebook about Free Comic Book Day, you're like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I've learned to not be excited anymore. I got bit on one of the other issues that I got, and Free Comic Book Day, weird thing. It's been around for years, but I've really only been aware of it for maybe 3 or 4 years. Like, what? You give away comic books? And, I found out that, okay, it's these certain issues that you come in. At least I wasn't ignorant enough to walk in the store and say, is everything for free? Because that happens. My buddies, or the people that I know that own the stores in the town, like, yeah, that happens all the time. People come in, they make a stack and say, I'd like these for free. No, that's not how it works. But the point of Free Comic Book Day is that if you go to your store, you see the poster, oh, okay, I'm going to bring in my girlfriend who doesn't read comics. I'm going to bring in my friend who is a music person and not a nerd, and he'll pick out a free comic. I'm going to bring my little kid, and he'll pick out his first comic. It's to get people in the store who haven't read anything before to start reading comics. This year, I would like to wager, and I'm sure listeners will call me out if I'm wrong, that this is really the first year where there were issues that people reading the books currently needed to read to kind of not just get caught up, but to have a piece of the story. And I think the one that I'm thinking of is the Marvel Convergence. I don't know what the heck is Marvel doing right now? And they're ending the Ultimate Universe and putting everything together.
DC is Convergence, Marvel is Secret Wars.
Yeah, that's right. There was the Secret Wars Prelude, and I picked that up, and the Ninja Turtles issue, and I had to ask to get more than one book very nicely, because the store that I go to gives you one. It's a small store, and your comic book store has to buy those issues. They don't get them given to them. They need to buy them. And I love my guys there. And they are a small store. They're not making that much money. They're not rich people. So, I asked nicely. I spend a lot of money there. But I know that there are other stores where you walk through the line and you can pick out, you're allowed to get 10 books and they have everything there. And the line is out the door and down the street. I don't get that. And so, yeah, I picked out my issues and I sat down in the car and I read that Secret Wars thing. And I'm like, okay, I have no idea what's going on. I just took this free book. Now, and somebody else wants it more than I do because I don't get it. I thought maybe I could read it and get interested in it. But no, that's not what the point of that book was. And I don't know what I expected from the Turtles book. I got it because I collect Turtles books. I want every Turtles book. Mm-hmm. But this book, the Ninja Turtles book that I'm holding in my hands now, that you all should go find a copy of, listeners, if you haven't been reading the book, because this is perfect for getting you perfectly caught up with the series. This covers everything up to right now. You could go out, buy this book and issue 47 and you'll be perfectly set. I've said perfect too many times. Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Now, I said earlier that this is essentially a catch-up for everybody, but it also does have a bit of a story in it.
Mm-hmm.
It does have the whole thing with Hun. It does have, Raph, Mikey, and Leo. It does have Splinter by Donnie's bedside. Now, at this point, let's see, that forum site, I'm going to have to, well, they say that it comes, yeah, they're right. This issue the continuity of this comes after 46, because in 46 they mention, or Donatello in the very beginning of it says, you can eventually move me to the lair. They've moved him to the lair in this issue. Because if you look at that page with, Splinter, he's not in
Harold's lab anymore.
He's not in Harold's lab anymore. So while Prelude, because that's the name of the title of the book, is Prelude, TMNT Prelude to Vengeance. While it is a catch-up issue for most people with a lot of the internal monologues, it is also a fresh story for us in between 46 and 47. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love the art. I love how they do the Mighty Mutanimals. That's awesome. Because like I said, we're not going to go through this bit by bit. But I love how they do kind of like the mug shots of the Mighty Mutanimals on the page, where it's like Hob is, the upper left circle, Herman is the upper right, and Slash and Gecko are bottom left and right.
I'm surprised to hear you say you like the art in this, not like the art. They're all beautiful drawings, but because this is a flashback issue, they're actually pulling from the old issues. They're using panels from the art that they've already put in the books. You've got the Dan Duncan stuff. You've got the weird, I think it was Santaluco, did the Foot Clan flashback stuff, and there's some who else is in here?
Well, that's why I like it. I mean, it's because it's already
Sophie Campbell.
It's stuff we've already seen.
Mm-hmm. There's some Bates stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they got another new artist to add to the team and just had a whole nother because this is a catch-up issue and because this is a individual story, not individual story, but you know what I mean. It's a story for the book. Yeah, I mean, I really dig it. It's stuff we've already seen. I mean, anyone that didn't read Northampton's run, the forage, was it 29 to 32 of the series? They didn't get to see, Alopex pouncing on Raph. Mm-hmm. We get to see that here, we get to see Raynette, or whatever the hell her name is. Just everything about this really made me happy. Mm-hmm. I just wish that 46 would have come out before this did. Like, I know they couldn't have probably done that, but, like, I don't know. Just because of where this ends up and brings us into 47, because we read, we kind of read this beforehand, before 46, I think. Before 46. So I don't know.
The story seems vague enough that the continuity thing didn't cause me any problems. And now, as I'm flipping through it again, when the flashback stuff ends and they catch us back up with whatever is current time in this book, the Mikey, Leo, and Raph are kind of checking out some purple dragons. They decide, okay, it's time to deal with them. And so Hun's down here with the purple dragons, and I'm going, okay, wait, wasn't he just with... If this was supposed to come after 47, is this before or after he visits the antique store? He's fine. He's not bruised, so it's probably not after.
Yeah.
So that I don't think it matters, and I don't think...
No.
There's not a lot of story things. Oh, yeah, and Bludgeon and Koya show up, so apparently Foot Clan are nearby.
Yeah.
Donnie shows up as Robo Turtle, starts kicking tail.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really interesting because I always wonder now what IDW and what the Turtles team is going to do every year for Free Comic Book Day,
Mm-hmm.
and they have not wasted this opportunity.
Not at all.
To if you want a jumping on point, folks, jump on here. But you should still go back and read the last 4 years of the book.
Yeah, it's easy to pick them up in trades nowadays.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I was doing for the first little while. And just really, really, really dug it. Now, with the pull bag kind of getting into a little bit of a issue with obviously my mom passing, I hate to keep bringing that up, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do the profiling preview stuff in a timely manner. And I believe I said on one of the profiling previews episodes where we go over solicitations and stuff that because Joe and I really only do the Turtle stuff, that I was going to save the Turtles solicitations for when we do Turtles episodes. So we are going to give you the solicitations for 46. Well, 46 is already out, so we don't need 46. We're going to give the solicitations for 47, 48, and 49. We're also going to talk about Casey and April 1, 2, and I believe 3, and some other stuff. Before we get into that, overall, just a final thought on the Free Comic Book Day story.
Say, what's that?
Final thought on the Free Comic Book Day story.
It does its job ideally as that jumping on point, and I like to see the flashbacks. Good to get reminded what happened in what order, but yeah, this is the issue you go tell your friends to go find, buy digitally, and then start reading the book.
Absolutely. All right, so coming up in the in June here, we've got Turtles stuff. IDW is releasing Color Classics Volume 3, Number 6. They are starting the brand new miniseries 1 of 4, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Casey and April, written by you're probably gonna have to help here, but written by Mariko Tamaki and art and covers by Irene Coe. It says, introducing a very unique TMNT tale starring Casey Jones and April O'Neil by acclaimed indie writer Mariko Tamaki, who wrote Skim, This One Summer. The couple take a road trip to the Southwest to dig up more clues about the mysterious pantheon that has seemingly been pulling the strings on the Turtles' lives from the beginning. Casey and April will find even deeper mystery, unexpected danger, and start a new chapter in their relationship.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh.
I've said it before. The last time Casey went out west, he came back with a kid.
I was going to say, please do not tell me April is going to become pregnant. She's too young. Too young. Okay, so we've got TMNT 47. Tom Waltz, Kevin Eastman, Bobby Curnow, Mateus Santaluco. The Stockman Swarm engulfs NYC, searching high and low for the Turtles. The Turtles are on the run and desperate. Will they be able to find sanctuary before it is too late? The race to issue 50 accelerates as two Turtle foes join forces to overrun New York. Variant cover by Valerio... can't even... I'm not even going to try. Not even going to try. We have the continuation of the Santaluco main cover with the whole red background thing here.
Thank you.
I like this. I actually like how he's got the turtles facing the mousers and all that. I like how metal they look.
Yeah,
they look really super gloss.
I noticed this in the back of 46. They showed this cover. Rhonda Pattinson probably colored the cover. She went all out on this.
Yeah.
And Raph's arms look roided out, but I like the speckled texture on the arms and legs. That's kind of a nice look.
Yeah, absolutely love that. So that's what's coming up in June for Turtles. So 47 will be the start of the Stockman Swarm. Also, coming up in July, we have Casey and April number 2 of 4. Casey and April struggle to keep their relationship afloat as they look for answers in the desert. Someone is striving to cut their journey short. The Rat King, dun dun dun. Yeah, I'm really digging how they are. I don't know about Casey. He looks a little too young in this, but I'm really digging how they're doing April on this cover, on the main cover here.
I don't know that I've seen this.
Her.
Oh. Yeah, that looks like an indie book to me. It looks so like April looks really like I'm with this new mini series they're going to start. April looks really good on the cover. Casey looks like miscellaneous Japanese man from an anime.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it. He doesn't look like how we've I understand, artist take and everything else, but oh wow. There's gonna be subcovers for this miniseries, and the subcover is one of the turtles holding holding a picture of Casey and April. It says "Wish you were here," and they're tied up. Casey and April XOXO.
That's a beautiful cover. J.L. Meyer. That's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, I just wonder. Whose hand is that? Is that Raph or Mikey?
I don't remember who's got the black wraps. If I had to guess, it's Raph.
Yeah,
and wow, they're throwing spikes back there. Lots of crows. I will be buying that cover. Oh, look at this! Look at where their heads come together and their collars. It makes a heart.
Yep.
Totally on purpose. That's beautiful. I really want that cover. I gotta go call my comic store tomorrow.
That's a subscription cover. So obviously you have the book on your pull list, so they should be able to get it for you.
They don't. That doesn't matter. They don't get them shipped fairly.
So we've got so we got issue 48 comes out in July. Tom Waltz, Kevin Eastman, Bobby Curnow. Corey Smith is back on art. Mateus, Santaluco, and Eastman are on covers. The Turtles take the fight to Baxter Stockman as both Karai and Shredder plan their final moves.
Ooh.
And it has it says on here for the solicit book under the subscription cover, it says EC Comics subscription variant. So it says Unstoppable Action, part of EC Comics Cover Month, homage cover by Ryan Brown, variant cover by David LaFuente. This main cover looks really badass. Santaluco is still kicking ass with this.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, he is really kicking ass. I mean, look at those mousers. Look at that. Look at that red laser.
You know what it is? Santaluco's able to spend the time on these drawings because he's not doing the interior art.
Yeah,
that's what's going on. Or no, he is doing the interior art. Nobody else is listed on the cover.
Not on 48. Not on 4. It lists Corey Smith as the artist in the interiors.
I bet you that's probably why the last couple of covers have really been done well. I think it started with that one with Raph's arms looking textured.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Let's see. So we've got coming up in August. We've got TMNT.
Those covers fit together.
Yep, they do. All of them do.
Oh my.
45 to 48. Yep.
They fit? They do?
They should.
Oh my gosh, they do.
Yep.
Oh man. That's cool.
So we got issue 49 coming out in August of this year. Tom Waltz, Kevin Eastman, Bobby Curnow, Mateus Santaluco on art and covers on this one. A final battle looms as Karai decrees a gauntlet battle between ancient foes Splinter and Shredder, But first, the Turtles must defeat the Foot Mutants, Koya, Bludgeon, Bebop, and Rocksteady. With Leo making an unimaginable battle gamble, a second Turtle's life may be on the line.
Wow.
You bastards, you better not kill any more of them. The penultimate issue leading to the double-sized TMNT number 50. Variant cover by Jason Howard. The cover that is shown on comicbookresources.com is the retail incentive cover, so it's not the... I think they wanted to keep the main cover probably secret. I like the retail incentive cover, but I want to see the real one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the regular cover. So we also have Casey and April number 3 coming out this month, and this is a 4-issue miniseries, like I've already said. And wow, Casey and April versus the Rat King. Wow. Casey and April number 3 of 4. Casey and April are separated. Both must face the Rat King's maze alone. Clues to the Pantheon await just out of reach, but Casey and April may not be able to find them if they cannot find each other.
Aww.
Okay. At this point, in August, so we don't really talk about this because my buddy JT and I usually were doing this. We kind of stopped doing it, but we used to do the new Animated Adventures book on the show. They are rebranding that, and it's becoming TMNT Amazing Adventures number 1. It's going to be Landry Walker and James Kachalka on writing, Chad Thomas Kachalka on art, and John Somaravia on covers. It's some sort of... I don't know what's going on with this.
I know exactly what's going on with it. Have you been reading the Animated Adventures?
No.
Okay, the Animated Adventures, as it's been so far up to this point, has been standalone stories. They don't go from comic to comic. That happen in between episodes of the TV show. So they're not dependent on each other, and you don't need one or the other to get the one. They're just standalone little adventures that happen. What is occurring now in the Animated Adventures series with this change and the new rebranding of it is that it's going to be its own ongoing storyline. I think they're going to mostly keep each comic tied together, but there will be some kind of continuity that goes through them. And just knowing how writers like to write and how these things usually end up how they usually end up changing, evolving, is that this will turn into a very sequential flow. And the way that I'm looking at this is it's kind of like the Archie Turtles series that started out following the cartoon very closely, relying on it, and then it started to branch off but still referenced the cartoon, and the same characters showed up. And then about 25 issues in, it took a right turn and went on its own, in its own way, and its own story, its own characters got introduced. And so I'm glad to see this happen. The style, the sensibilities of the animated series is not my favorite iteration of the Turtles, but I think by letting a writer take those sensibilities and tell his or her own story with it is a good move. And I'm going to actually be more likely to read this series now that it's rebranded and is going in that kind of continuity direction. I will eventually read all the animated series. I've been ordering them. I will never not order a Ninja Turtle book ever again. After finally finding my issue 29 of the Mirage series, never again will I go. But it'll be a year at least before I go back and read Animated Adventures. But this I might jump on, when it drops.
The one thing, I might add this to my list just to get the first issue, because that first issue subscription cover is awesome. I assume that's all Foot Clan members in the background with the red eyes. And four I assume that.
Yeah, with ninja
I
swords.
could be wrong, but and you got the 4 turtles in red, purple, orange, and blue. I love that they did that. That's so cool for a cover. Oh, so cool. Absolutely. Also coming out this month, we're not going to go too much into this, but also coming out this month is the trade for Mutanimals. If anyone hasn't gotten the Mutanimals 4-issue miniseries, you can get it in trade in August. So yeah, that's our episode. I think the next one for Back Issue Classics that we're going to do is probably going to be Gem and the Holograms number 3. I could be wrong about that. I don't know yet. But no, Turtles, the road to 50 is killing us. It's awesome, but it's killing us. Because, 50 is their first double-sized issue in 4 years, I think.
I can't recall one. I mean, the what do they call them? The annuals have been big, but this is going to be good.
That's the annuals. That's nothing. But yeah, I mean, I cannot wait for 50. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. At this point, after 50, I just want to see him get to 75. If we can get past that evil number 73, we're good.
But then I like to throw in the things of, well, if you add in the tails of the turtles, it's really 160. Or I need to do the math. I want to find out that number, because when we interview Bobby Curnow again, I want to drop that number on him and say, well, when you get to this, we'll talk, because I don't want it to end. And
I honestly, with how well they've done this, with how all of it, not just the main ongoing, but the little side story, Turtles in Time, and Secret of the Foot Clan, and Mutanimals, and what else? I know I'm forgetting one.
I can't think either.
I don't know. All the little miniseries, the one-shots need to really return. I know we need to get a few more characters together before we really do more one-shot series, but I hope those eventually return. I honestly do not see, unless IDW loses money on this book, which I don't think they are. They wouldn't do it if they were. But this series could go, as long as Bobby and Tom and Kevin come up with amazing stories, or an amazing way to take our overall continuity. This book could never end.
I don't want it to end. Out of all the books that I read, out of all the books that I look at, this is the one that would suffer most from renumbering somehow. This should continue to go.
IDW, to my knowledge, in a couple of years that I've, dealt with them, they're not DC and Marvel. They're not just going to renumber just to renumber.
Well, but then I think of Transformers and how many times that's rebranded and renumbered. I mean, it's done it for story reasons, but oh gosh, I don't want them to have a story reason to renumber Turtles.
I honestly don't think that, because I think that, they've created such a story that, and if Nickelodeon wasn't on board with it, we wouldn't have gotten this far. But Nickelodeon apparently has been on board with this. They haven't taken any missteps. There may be certain things that people don't like about art styles, me included, and I've mentioned that in many of our podcast episodes that we've done. But, I just don't... Like, when Transformers got rebranded, it was because of... It was a different,
Well, the teams split. You had the guys on Cybertron and the guys still on Earth.
Well, the team split, but it's one of those things where there was a Transformers ongoing by Mike Costa at one point with IDW. I believe it was with IDW. And then that ran its course. And then they started what they currently have been doing for the last 2, 3, 4 years, whatever. And I don't see IDW as a rebranding, renumbering company. I just don't see that. You look at everything that they've done. If they can't fit it into the main ongoing for Turtles, they make a miniseries out of it.
It'll be a good question for Bobby.
Oh, absolutely.
We're ready to talk to you, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if IDW has finished moving their offices yet.
He's got to be a busy guy for all the stuff that's going on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, we may not be able to get to talk to him until after 50 releases. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't emailed him since the last time But yeah, Turtles 45, 46 in the free Comic Book Day issue. If you're not reading Turtles, folks, please start. If you are any kind of a Turtle fan, if you grew up on the cartoon, if you grew up with the Mirage books, if you grew up, finding out about them with the first, 90s movie, if you want something really, really good, unlike that Venus de Milo crap, if you grew up on that, get that dirty taste out of your mouth by reading this book. Oh, God. So, yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, Gem and the Holograms #3 might be coming up. Other than that, I'm not sure. I will say that I'm in the middle of reading Zenescope Entertainment's Robin Hood, ROBYNHOOD. It's probably my favorite book about it's probably my favorite comic that has nothing to do with superheroes or turtles or 80s properties at all. It's it's a new, fresh take on the Robin Hood legend, and it's female-centric. They basically made Robin Hood is a girl, and you want to talk about a story. Oh, man. The continuity that this thing sets up is amazing. So I'm in the middle of basically blasting through reading that, and kind of just sitting back and taking a breath and kind of quote unquote enjoying life with what's happened in my life the last month or so. So just like most of us, me included, always complain about how Hollywood doesn't have an original bone in its body. This is something that is very original.
Except that it's about a Middle Ages tale?
Yeah, but I mean,
it looked, just from the covers, it looked gratuitous to me in that kind of extreme...
It looked gratuitous
Let's show cleavage and that'll sell.
No, I'll say this: the cleavage stuff is really the covers. There's not. We'll talk about this off air.
Sure.
All right, folks. Make your great escape into comics. Make sure you're checking out Geek-Stuff Garage Sale on Facebook, as well as listening to the Geek-Stuff GarageCast. I will have links to both in the post, and we will catch you next time.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullback, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at GeekCastRadio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.